Oh yeah, black sun in the hizzle, oh the shizzledism. We got an excellent show here today. Uh-oh, look like I'm gonna need the big lens. Damn, am I gonna need the big lens today? Well, no, because this is gonna be we got an excellent show here today. We're gonna have Nature Mom come on and talk about. Hey, Twin is my first things first. Twin Deacon, how's my mic? Is my mic good? Check, check. What testing? One, two, three. Testing, man. But we do the mic checks when I do the Bluetooth. Black Sun, don't trust the Bluetooth. I don't trust this type of technology. Be on the road doing the show. So need some assistance. I wish this car would fucking go. Just go. Come on, just go. Go. God damn. All right, got fire and a thumbs up. And we got people speeding. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah. We ain't doing that. All right, so we waiting on Nature Mom. So while we waiting on Nature Mom, I want to speak on the last show we did. Um, Shout out to MD20. Shout out to Trevor, man. We're gonna be moving that show to Tuesday. So, oh, good, good, good. We're gonna be moving Champion Circle to Tuesday. I just wanted to try it out. We will be having Michelle Rollins back on for Fitness Fridays. So I'm gonna contact her. But today we got Nature Mom. We got Nature Mom today, and we're gonna be dealing with the Tulsa different prominent black cities because this is very relevant to the topic that me and Yang, or yesterday's topic, me and Yanga were kind of having some disagreement about capitalism. Um, I've already done Angel Snuff Snuff 7 already played my shout out to Angel, shout out to Mississippi Campaign. He already played the excerpt. I mean, I said it on my channel. Um, he remixed it and brought up the sound. Appreciate that, Angel, and brought it out because I was having some technical. I didn't have the thing right in front of my mouth, so the volume was low. But I think, and I was talking about some vegan stuff too. That's what I was like, damn. But anywho, um, we're gonna talk about the black cities that thrived during Reconstruction. We're gonna talk about black capitalism, and I don't care. Yanga said that the majority of people would be against it, blah, 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 socialism. Brother, the black capitalists would be the workers, okay, or the ones building the city are the workers. And the ones you talk about being socialist, that we got to help these other people be communal, are the ones, are they working? Are they working? Because even Adon last night had to, well, I don't want to say he agreed. He just showed in the scriptures where I'm saying the same thing. Okay, Adon, we get it. You make good points. Where me and you draw the line is I'm not down with no theocracy. That's it. Mississippi campaign is not down with no theocracy. That's it. So, you can say, hey, say all the, oh, the Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat either. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. But the Bible also says that they want to establish a theocracy. And as far as American black working class, that is a no go. That is a no go. Just for the mere fact that you don't want to work on the Sabbath. No, we want to work on the Sabbath. We want to make our money. I run my business anytime I feel like working my business. I'm not going to have any Yahweh or Sky Daddy telling me in the contrary. So that's that. That is that. So I'm not down with no type of theocratic government. But you'll have your day again. You'll have your day again. Once we get Yanga established with his. Ooh, okay, y'all. Look like I'm at the. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm at the. Damn, let me cut this thing off. I had to cut my fans off so I can talk on the CB. This CO6, CO6. Damn, I hope they. This is why I don't like. Jesus Christ. You know what? Let me not dang spread my damn work business on the internet like that, because people will use it against you. I'm joking. Not my crowd, but people, other people. Anywho, um, hmm. Oh, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, waiting on Nature Mom to get here. I just did not put the yeah, I put the link in the description, and somehow she didn't get it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Hold on, y'all. Go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Damn. Go to YouTube. My God, man. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. No, this can't be happening. This is why I got subscribers and views and all that, because people who don't know how to get here, like people who I'm telling to come to the show, they don't know how to get. Mm, Nature Mom's running a little late. Oh my gosh. Damn, we talk about. Oh gosh. Already here. Okay, look in the chat. Mm, 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 mm. Damn. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I don't know. Jesus Christ. Mm-mm-mm. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Shit. Okay, y'all. I don't know what's going on. Um, no, I know what's going on. Ah, just sent the link, man. Hopefully, I don't know. Damn, this damn thing. I guess can be complicated if people not used to it. Mm. Technical difficulties. Um, Twain, you can say that. You can say that, man. I don't know. Do y'all see the link in the chat? Y'all let me know if you see the link in the chat, because I'm not understanding. Mm, something's missing. I'll do it again. Copy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Just some of the kinks, man. Some of the kinks. Paste. Chat. Okay. So we got the. Okay, so we got. Okay. Sent it again. Uh, there we go. All right. There we go. There.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The setup here. Okay. Hi. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, how are
All
you
right.
today?
Doing good, Nature Mom. I keep coming across people who, especially black people, talk about, capitalism. It's evil. So I'm like, that's funny, because I know Nature Mom has studied some of the black cities after Reconstruction and did quite well in this evil capitalistic system. So I
Right.
wanted you to kind of break down. Um,
Okay. So
I mean,
let's first deal with I see Twin. Hi Twin. He has he's showing technical difficulties. Are we okay now? Hi
yeah, we go. Yeah,
Deacon.
yeah, we good. We good.
Oh, it's good to see you guys or be here with you guys. Thank you for having me again. I always enjoy sharing, the knowledge and everything that I've learned. So yeah, getting right into it here, capitalism. Capitalism is a very interesting construct. I mean, basically, we're just talking about, the bourgeoisie versus the laborer, right? I mean, that's what tr- the true essence of capitalism is supposed to be about if we are following the idea of Karl Marx. Um,
Okay.
but when we're talking about the system that we're living in today, the capitalistic system, um, yeah, reconstruction. I would even like to step back from reconstruction and just kind of look at what was going on in the Americas when the great twin. Okay. Um, I, what was going on after the Emancipation Proclamation? Where were Black people? They were brought to this emancipation, through that civil war with a lot of promises. These promises that they were going to have equal ground here in America. They were going to be able to equally thrive and be able to create um, a living, that was the complete opposite of what they've experienced before that time, where they were just completely dehumanized. What ended up happening was, these soldiers, these black, ex-slaves, they were brought into this fight. The fight was in many ways in their name,
Mhm.
and what ended up happening was they fought. They felt like they fought for their freedom and for their equality on American soil.
All right.
And what ended up happening in the end was, when the dust settled, um, i- the South was given the best deal out of the whole. When I say the South, I'm talking about the Confederacy. They were given the
Yes.
best deal out of the Civil
What?
War.
Why do you say they got the best deal?
Because, well, first of all, a lot of the promises that were made to these black soldiers who enlisted, they were promised, the wealth that they had been working for hundreds of years. They were promised land. They were
Okay.
promised things that never came to fruition. And what
Okay.
ended up happening was, through this reconstruction, the Confederacy ended up getting their land back. They got a lot of federal protections, and their federal protections even protected them against the people that they had so cruelly exploited and dehumanized. Yet, on the other hand, these black citizens, they weren't given any federal protections. I mean, they were given, the 13th and the 14th Amendment, and then um, and then they were brutalized. They were invited to go back to the South as slave laborers again. Or the second choice was to try to unite with the people of the North, who absolutely did not want them to stay in their areas. So what were they left with? They were left with a promise, um, completely defaulted deals, and these lost, crumbling, communities of people who did not have resources to food, did not have resources to housing,
So
and
you're saying they started from zero.
they started from absolutely zero.
So would you say they were in a worse position back then because of Reconstruction and the war and starting off with nothing as compared to us living now?
A comparison of then to now, I
Yes.
mean, no, I think that we are still, it's not really like we can really compare the way that we are today to the way that things were then. We're still in, let's say, a ricochet of that era. We're still living in that ricochet. The thing that's very interesting about that ricochet is that, we knew we were standing on zero ground at that point. So, people just started to find places to live. They started building communities. They started working together because they knew they couldn't go to the South, and they knew they didn't really have the hand of the North, Northerners to support them. So, what they did was they supported themselves. They started to figure out a way to with nothing, to commerce between each other, to build between each other. They started to construct their own education systems. They started to construct their own markets, their own entertainment places. So, I mean, when you look at where they were then, they were in a position of force building. And they were also in a mindset of eagerness to build because they have never been given that opportunity on American soil before that point.
Right.
So this, when you have this enthusiasm to build, and you're given this, very blank slate, no one really cared. That was the thing. The I mean, to be honest with you, I think that a lot of the white people of the time felt like, well, if they die, they die. If we don't really care what happens, as long as they're not competing for our, resources, and they're not in our communities, we don't really care what happens to them. And what was the most unexpected was that Black people built communities that thrived.
Right.
So moving forward a little bit more, okay, so yeah, like you said, the Reconstruction took place, and these communities outside of expectations started to grow. Um, and what was interesting was we had this economic downturn, known as the Great Depression. And
Right.
this is a time where you start to see, just like in many different eras of history, whenever you start to look at like the spikes in
Mhm.
lynchings, in white brutality towards Black communities, there's always this correlation with economics. So,
Right.
when
Good point.
these Black communities were doing well, I mean, the worst of the tyranny and the worst of the brutalities started to take place when the rest of America started to lose their financial foothold, what they felt like was their stronghold. And there's even places I was rewatching one of my favorite documentaries about Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there's this one particular part that always jumps out at me when I'm watching this documentary. And it's how the narrator describes how you could climb this hill um,
Mhm.
in Greenwood, and at the top of this hill, you could see on one side, the Greenwood community, and it's bustling, and it has these great school structures. It has these streets full of people moving and thriving and living in a reality that was complete opposite of their white
Right.
neighbors on the other side of the hill. On the other side of the hill, you could see this destitution beginning. You could see a lot of white workers being put out of work. So these men are sitting on the streets, and they're becoming angry together, and losing their hope,
Right.
and unable to provide food for their families. And just over the hill, you have this nearly forgotten Black community that was bustling and that had their own complete economic system. So when you use
Wow.
the word capitalism, what's interesting to me about capitalism, and I'm spending more and more time digging into, is that it really appeared at that time that there were two different systems of capitalism happening, particularly in America. So
Right.
you had the overall capitalist system, that we were all under the umbrella of, but these ex-black slaves were not even expected to survive. Um, and they ended up creating their own micro capitalistic system,
Right.
and their
By
money was
capitalism.
it was black capitalism.
Right.
So
Okay.
it was completely not affected in the same way as the white capitalistic system. That was, I mean, people were throwing themselves out of buildings on Wall Street.
Right.
There was mass suicides happening, and you turn to your black neighbor who you expected to already be destitute years ago, and you turn and you see them and they're wearing fine clothing. They're driving nice cars. They are spending their money, and they're keeping their money within their own communities. And even people who worked outside, in the rare occasions when they worked outside of the black community, of these black communities that were happening all over United States,
Right.
they were bringing their earnings back to these communities, and that's where their earnings from outside the community were starting to circulate. So they were actually pulling finance, economics out of the overall capitalistic system and bringing it into these little micro, circuits of economic boom that
Okay,
was
so now you
happening.
you say they started all from nothing. Now I know the slaves carried on with them agriculture. A lot of them carried seeds from Africa, like you said when we talked about the hair, how they hid seeds in their hair and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
old practices. Yes.
right,
I think that the thing that started to happen, I mean, people were, they were starting their own industries. Let's say, for example, there were, young boys who were, running
moonshine.
newspapers. These are like little 9, 10, 15-year-old kids who had their own money, enough money to buy their own little plots of land. And they were doing this, these little kids, they were shoe shining, they were running paper routes, they were doing errands within the community, and they were bringing, because every member of the family was working, and it was a sense of pride and joy. So to be a gainfully employed young man at the time, or young woman, it
Right,
was something, it was an honor that you brought to your whole family, because everybody knew where you came from, and
right.
that you, like we just said, you came from nothing, and yet your 9-year-old kid made enough money to buy property when their white, neighbor on
Now,
the other side of the hill couldn't
Nature Mom,
even like
these
keep
are
their family.
right. So you're talking about several different cities in several different states.
Yes, yes. This was
Okay,
happening all over. I mean, I
United
I
States.
haven't I've been studying this now for a little bit over a year and a half,
Right.
and I still can't get all of the communities that were all over United States.
Can we
There
do
was
just five? Can we do just five in all different states?
sure. Oh,
Okay,
okay,
so now
so I
I
mean,
mean,
I
because we can
can.
always come back to this. I mean, I
Right.
see where you're going in your studies. So I'm just saying, just for time's sake, maybe just give us five cities in five distinct different areas, and
Okay.
if we can just pinpoint, I mean, um,
Yeah.
the
I can give you a
process,
list.
right? Because
Absolutely.
because I'm trying to figure out how capitalism. Now, I'm not talking about crony capitalism. How these black people that practice capitalism, how it was so evil and destructive. Because
Right.
I've done my study on socialism, and it has destroyed cities. It has destroyed nations. So
Mm.
I just want to kind of compare the two. You know,
Well, I think that, like you, I've invested my time and my money and energy into courses to understand these things, as well, particularly socialism, capitalism, on a, let's say on a university scale. I'll be honest with you. I feel like, the system that we are still learning from, in the United States, is such a biased system that we can't really get, the full scope, because, it's still a system of education that is controlled by the same government who worked on many levels, against us to this day. And, what I mean by that is, whether we look in, socialism, capitalism, any science,
hmm
science was tainted, at these times, for particular gains, and for, um,
well, that's why I wanted to use the specific cities
yeah. Okay.
because
So,
the
like, yeah,
studies are
we
there. I mean, the facts are there.
absolutely.
I mean, the facts I've seen from studying socialism and the facts I've seen studying capitalism. I mean, the facts are there. Where we want to talk about evil, racist governments or not, I'm talking about an economical system that has destroyed cities and nations, and I'm talking about one where you could point out in our past where you know black people. That's why I labeled the show Black Capitalism, where it actually thrived. So I
Well,
wanted to get to the meat and potatoes of
absolutely.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I can give you a list. I mean, we can start, from the very beginning. The Elaine massacre of
shout out to
Arkansas.
Angel, shout out to Angel. Right, okay.
um,
What?
so absolutely. This is the heart of, the sharecropping stories. So this is where,
Okay.
the ex-slaves were invited to come back to, the
So when we share
plantations.
sharecropping, we're talking about agriculture, correct?
Back to agriculture, exactly. So this is where
Okay,
the
okay.
white plantation owners, they were given back through this deal. They were given back the land, and this was the same land that, the ex-slaves were supposed to be, you know uh, given, as a, let's say, a
Mhm.
reformation for all of the, slavery, brutality, etc. But it was given back to the plantation owners. And so what was happening was, the plantation owners, they own this land, but they absolutely had no idea what to do with this land themselves. So yeah, they knew that it was a great
Right,
idea, a
right.
good interest for them to partner with these inferior people, because this is still how they saw them. They really saw us at that time, that, we were like children, and we needed to be shepherded, and we needed, their control
Right,
of our lives was for our better good. And
right.
so, let me calm myself down, and let me invite you back to the plantation, and we'll work as partners. But what they did was, they
Okay.
they finagled the books, they finagled the deal. So instead of this shared cropping working out, they ended up, basically confusing, and making these deals to where, yeah, you're on my land, but you need to pay for, your time on my land. You need to pay for the seeds that you're planting. You need to pay for any of the tools that you're borrowing for, working the land. You need to pay for the gas and the equipment for hauling. You got to pay, the feed for the horses. So at the end, these, landowners were going off, and they were selling, this cotton and all these different agriculture, making a killing, and then coming back and telling, these sharecroppers, yeah, you would have made some money. I didn't make much, and you would have made something of not much of what I made, but you owe me all this debt. So that essentially put a lot of black people back into slavery. And so what happened, should we say, unspoken slavery, And what ended up happening was, these Black people, they unionized, they got smart, they they actually got a lawyer and filed a class action suit against these landowners. Go ahead, I saw.
Right.
Yeah. So
No, I
when
was
they,
just I wanted to ask everybody. Oh,
uh-huh, go ahead. Sorry, I think there's a slight delay
oh shoot.
because I'm in a new space. Yeah, and let me know if you guys have me on good time, because sometimes the internet is kind of iffy where I am. Okay, I see twin. Okay, can you hear me, Black Sun?
Uh oh.
Black Sun? Oh
Nature
no.
Mom, you there? Uh oh. I think we're
Yeah,
having a bad
I hear
connection.
you. Uh-oh. You guys let me know if you can
Uh
hear me
oh.
at all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Nisa. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you, Nature Mom.
Okay, okay, great.
Can you hear me?
There
I
we
don't
go.
know. One of our connections is yeah. Okay.
It could be the connection here. So I
Uh
hope
oh.
that you guys can hear me okay. Okay, great. Hi, Angel. Okay, so I'm getting thumbs up from Angel that
Okay.
you guys can hear me. Okay, so like,
Okay.
yeah, like I was saying, so yeah, you hear, so when these Black people unionize and they decided to become intelligent and legal about it, it created a mob backlash. It created a one of the most horrific massacres ever recorded on in American history. And the thing about this massacre is that information about it is starting, like many other communities, to leak out now. But these massacres were actually locked and closed behind doors, and investigators and journalists, amateur journalists, professional journalists, had to fight to get these locked doors open to uncover the information about these massacres. And I tell you why, you guys. Um, the worst part about it is that uh, the local and the federal governments are implicated as a part of this massacre. So when you look at it this way, yeah, this is one of the biggest atrocities, um, and our federal, all the way up to our federal government, is still liable for the lives of people, and the loss of lives, the loss of property, the loss of vitality, and the loss of opportunity for people to stand up against themselves. So, this is a time in American history where it became very, very blatant that as these, communities of people were creating their own capitalistic system, their capitalism, and they were trying to stand up for that capitalism in righteous and legal ways, they were being completely severed from the federal governments. They were completely being cut off from any type of protection, and the federal government itself became a part of the team of people who, who took part in that massacre. And it's even hard to say because, wow, that's how real this history is.
Right.
um but that is the reality of what's happened. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, when I'm reading, this new bill, if I can just kind of share this, these new White House plans, written, um, put on the fact sheets of advancing equality opportunities for Black Americans in their communities. I think that the first place that if this was a genuine effort to advance equality and to repair any of the damages that have happened, we have to go back to Elaine, Arkansas. I'm gonna start city dropping here. We have to go back to Florida, Okencha, Florida. We have to go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to Greenwood. You know, we have to go back to Rosewood. We have to go back to, Charlotte, Brooklyn, North Carolina. We have to look at all of these cities, like the Wilmington massacre. I mean, there's just so many cities, but there's at least five right there, that were some of the biggest atrocities that have been recorded. I think that the biggest issue is that there's still um, there's still data that is missing and has been intentionally destroyed. And these documents, this important information about these communities is hard evidence, and
Right.
we need this hard evidence uncovered. um I think that, like, when we're those cities right there that I mentioned, Elaine, Arkansas, Okencha, Florida, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Wilmington, I we still there has been, like, scientists who've gone in and they have, like, brought soil samples. They have proven already that that there are anomalies taking place in the soil, because the issue is we can't really get to the heart of what happened to these thriving communities without some forensic proof. And
Hmm.
there has been soil samples brought in that shows they might be able to uncover some mass graves. And none of that has been even gone back to, or none of that land to this date has been excavated. And what's important
Hmm.
about getting that done is that when they excavate that land, they are going to find remnants, they're going to find bones, they're going to find descendants today. Just like Angel said, he said that, his family, he comes from descendants of sharecroppers, and they were left with nothing to give to their communities. Yet I guarantee you those people had a very big hand in the thriving communities that were taking place all across America at that time. I think that a lot of people here don't even know about Seneca Village. If anybody out there knows about Seneca Village, uh, Seneca Village today is also known as Central Park, and Central Park was a thriving Black community. Um, so um, okay, so Deacon is sharing that they have uncovered some mass graves in Texas recently. So I'm very Deacon, I would love some information about that, because yeah, there are little pieces here and there I'm hearing about, but I have not seen any hard proof yet. So I would love any information that you can forward to us about that, because I would like to dig into that myself. But absolutely, they're just, I mean, when I was looking at a map of the United States, and all of these little dots put in all of the thriving communities that were all across America, particularly from about, let's say, 1880 all the way until the 19 we're looking up to 1930s. um, there were so many thriving communities, and today, it, I mean, I don't know if we can even. Oh, thank you, Deacon. I don't know if we could even see if one of those hundreds of communities are still thriving. And we're not talking about a little bit of capitalistic boom. We're
Right.
talking about as the rest of the country was in complete destitution, these communities were absolutely thriving, and there it was a big part of why a lot of these massacres took place. There were a lot of people who felt, especially, Confederates, um, you know, um, poor white communities, because they were using, especially media, the monopoly of media at the time, to really, you know, put this narrative out there. And I want to talk about, like, some specific media outlets like the Atlanta Journal, and specifically, the Tulsa Tribune, that contributed to these massacres and to the decimation of these communities. There were so many, papers, and so many media outlets that were a part of this as well, and made sure. I think that the way that it was put, um, that they wanted to give uh, Black people two options. They wanted bankruptcy, or they wanted jail. Those were the only two options besides
Right.
death that they had in mind.
Well, you took us in a whole different direction. It sounds like
Okay.
more of a case for reparations than capitalism. I just wanted to justify the capitalism part, but I mean, we got
Yeah. Okay.
MD if you want to join us because this is really your topic.
Okay.
Because Nature Mom is definitely making a case for reparations, not so much capitalism not being an evil thing. So yeah, you went like
Ah.
in a
Oh,
whole
okay.
different
Okay.
direction that I was kind of
Yeah. When we talk
yeah,
about
because
these communities,
I
yeah,
have a
I have a
debate,
big passion.
capitalism versus socialism, and you went into the whole
Yeah.
reparations spiel. So
Yeah.
we can kind of we can jump on the reparations thing because
We
MD
can.
shout out to him. He's yeah. So you're building the case right now for reparations, not
I mean,
necessarily for my debate, but for reparations, and that's cool.
well, when it comes to, I think that was my early answer. Like, research wise, scientific, like, in my dive into research,
Mm-hmm.
um i there's a very few people who I could highly trust in the conversation of socialism or capitalism, particularly, Du Bois. I could see through both of these sciences, the narrative, the
Yeah,
teaching
but
stance.
no, I understand the teaching stance again. I get a
Yeah,
lot of philosophy, but I want
yeah,
to show real life, like you're showing with the evidence case study with the dead bodies and the
yeah,
forensics. I want to
yeah.
show real life case studies against capitalism, against socialism, and socialism has not worked. Capitalism has worked here in the U.S. with descendants of our bloodline, and it's like you get people still rah-rahing for socialism, and I'm like, but it's the evidence is not there. So that's all I was going with that,
Well, I
But
mean,
that's
I
why I
think
wanted to
that,
show you the prominent cities.
right. Well, I think that's something we, um I feel like, in a sense, we're agreeing and not agreeing at the same time, because
Okay.
on one hand, I don't feel like the sciences have applied to us in on equal ground the way that they've applied to other groups of
So
people in the United States.
are you saying that they didn't practice capitalism, the black people, these black prominent
Um,
cities?
no, no, no. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that the capitalism that we were forced to, engage in, like, it wasn't even, a thought. We were just in this system of survival, and with these
Hmm.
pressures, that were working against our communities from the start. So, when I look at, like, the true sense of what, like, the definition of what capitalism is supposed to be, and the true sense, the definition of what socialism is supposed to be, I think that what these communities created was something unprecedented. They created a mixture that was, a sensitive case, particularly, both
All right.
thrive, like, with a focus towards the overall well-being of Black people, economically and socially. And this is something that's not really a part of the overall conversation about socialism and capitalism in a general sense, because most
So they
of the
were the
people
first to use a mix system,
that,
but I mean, you talk well.
yeah,
You
this
you
was a
talk well
system.
first. Okay,
I mean,
so
so you can you
you know,
get where I'm going with this? Like, the community had to support itself. It had to be its own social system. It had its own engineers. It had its own doctors and dentists. It had, I mean, at a
mhm,
time where the rest of the country, they weren't even like taking care of their dental care the way Black people were taking care of their dental care of the time. We had
right.
thriving dental offices. When you look at the rest of the world, like, yeah, dentistry became, like, let's say, flossing is important in the 70s, you know, where this was going on at the turn of the century in these Black neighborhoods. They were, the way that it was described, the caliber of teachers that were teaching in these schools were better than most universities at the time. So
Okay,
it's,
but what I'm missing here, Nature Mom, is somehow we started from slavery and then you
yeah.
shot up to where we're already doing. I'm trying to get to the
Well, like, where
foundation,
were
the
the
build up.
steps?
Yeah, what were the
Yeah.
steps? Like we know sharecropping, they had to have fruits and vegetables to sell and then go from there and build off that. So in these history lessons, I keep getting slavery and then prominent
Yeah.
cities. And I'm like,
Right.
okay,
And
okay, we
where's
skipped a
the
whole
bridge?
bunch of chapters.
Where's the
Yeah,
bridge?
where's the
And
bridge? Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that
because I want to
that's
ask.
that's a really, really great question. And I think that that's where the missing history is in our curriculums. It wasn't just this great shoot up. There were these people who, when they defected from slavery and they were a part of these northern legislative movements, to deciding, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about, the Confederacy? Because, what was the interest of the whites in the North was, they have too much voting power. And their voting
Right.
power comes from the amount of slaves that they own and the amount of money that is circulating from King Cotton. So, what can we do to chop off their legs of power? That was their focus. And you had all of these slaves, who defected and they moved north. They educated themselves. They were starting to build their own families on the edge of these communities, where they were becoming statesmen. They were
Right.
becoming prominent figures. They were becoming engineers, dentists, doctors. They were going to school for anything they could go to school for, because in the North they had these opportunities. So when you fast forward a little bit, that piece that's missing, the piece that people don't want to say, the same as they don't want to say where, the real support for these massacres came from. These people ended up in these communities together. So many, and I'm with you on that. How did they create this economic boom when they were supposed to be just like, slaves freshly freeing themselves? Well, that's the case. They
Right.
weren't all slaves freshly freeing themselves. These are people who,
Okay.
over a number of years and a number of generations now, have educated themselves. They have given themselves opportunities. They have climbed the ranks of political power, even in the North. And a lot of Northerners don't want to admit to this as well, but there was a time where, when you looked at these old photos of statesmen, a third of them were Black senators. A third of them were sitting, going to Washington to these meetings and talking about issues of, bringing black, vitality to America and getting
Right.
rid of this atrocity that they called slavery. And so all these conversations were building towards that, where America, where everyone, who is not from our position, don't want to say so blatantly, and I will be the first just to call it what it is. When the North won, with the help of these black people who believed in this promise of this new America, when they came back, from fighting this battle, and they all of the, slaves started to defect and join these armed forces. When the
Right.
battle was over, all of these people, educated or not, freshly freed or not, they were all uninvited. And that's the nicest way of saying it. They were all
Right.
uninvited to live in the neighborhoods and to be a part of this political community any longer, to be a part of conversations. There were people who, you know um, appointed themselves as overthrowers of the government. And you don't hear that conversation too much. It's definitely not in our history books in school. But
Right.
this is the time where you had all these different white supremacy groups taking power, and the fuel for their power was their anger that there were so many prominent black people in their communities that were outshining them. They did not, these people, North or not, agreed more with the ideals of the Southerners than they did with the people, the black people, and the friends of the black people that they were living with. There were mayors, senators whose lives were threatened, who ran out of town and protected their own hides because of the threat that came down on them. And the people who took over office at that time were not on the side of these black people living in their communities. So these were the precursors of these massacres. So these people were threatened. I mean, white and black, they were threatened. Their houses were looted. Their savings, their gold, their finery, yeah, I mean, there was a list of things.
So, Nature
Uh,
Mom, you're saying that these terrorist whites and these prominent blacks, are you saying they did or didn't share the same economic system? I'm a little lost.
so at one point, when the North was welcoming them,
Hmm.
they were trying to integrate somewhat in an economic system. These black people were very happy to to go to their schools, to be educated, anything but the South, right? They were just so happy to be considered human beings. So they were taking the launderer's job. They were shoe shining. They were doing whatever they can, and at the same time they were building themselves. And so that's where this small bridge was happening within these mixed communities. What was starting to happen are these people who will then become the father of Jim Crow laws, who were already growing these white supremacy groups. I don't even remember all the names of it. There were so many different sects of white supremacy groups. Ku Klux Klan was only one sect. There were so many
Right, right,
different, I mean, the white, they had so many names. And these
right. They did.
groups within these communities were already plotting against them and their sympathizers. So
Okay, so
when
obviously you were talking about how the government was in cahoots. So there was no enforcement of no type of governmental socialism in these
well
prominent black societies, correct?
Well, let's be honest, like where the government, where they had government supports, because there were governors who
Okay,
were absolutely not allowing discrimination to happen in their towns. So what
okay,
these terrorist groups did was they ran these governors, these senators out of town. They threatened them just as equally. There were so many coups that happened that are not being discussed and talked about in our history books. There were so many overthrowing of the government system. There was a point, and you guys, like I always say, do your due diligence, look this up yourself, look at pictures of senators, from the transition of the 19th century into the 20th century. At the beginning, you
uh-huh.
had a whole group of black senators, of black statesmen,
Right,
and then next
right.
photo,
North
group
Carolina,
photo, there was not one black face present,
right,
because these people were overthrown. The
right,
government that we were building at one point was overthrown. So
right.
this
Okay.
Jim Crow government that we were like say we were moved into, this government was not the government that was fighting with us, to take power over the Confederacy. These were people who, they themselves, they had a big problem with black people
So,
in their communities thriving, creating their own savings, their own economy, their own banking systems in the community, because many of the banks didn't want to deal with them. So they were building their education. They were opening their own savings and loans. And
right.
all of that was destroyed and threatened in the northern regions. So when you say where was the bridge, those prominent people, those prominent figures, they took all of that education and that knowledge and that infrastructure that they built and the know-how, and they just, when they were threatened, they moved it to these communities like Elaine, like Okincha, like Tulsa, Greenwood, Oklahoma, Seneca Village. They moved their communities because what they were looking for more than anything else was social security. And we're not talking about US government social security system. They were looking for social security because what they could see, what they were learning, was that their government, the 14th, the 13th and 14th amendments were not protecting their bodies. There was a rise of lynching every single time the overall government was slumping because they left the gold standard. It was their fault. And you had these black people in the communities that were doing dealings that they weren't a part of. They didn't want to be a part
Mhm.
of it. So they were closing themselves out of economic opportunities, and then they were angry that these groups were thriving and they weren't.
Right.
So like you said, it was this very interesting mix, not textbook, not textbook capitalism, not textbook socialism. It was out of, I think, just pure, natural necessity of like enthusiasm to survive versus what was happening before that. And
So this system really doesn't have a name to it.
no, no. And on top of it
All
not having a
we
name
can,
to it,
whatever it is, we can put black before, but we don't know black what it is. So black question mark structure,
and
economical
from this
structure.
time, and this is what's important, from this time on, we're talking about from the 1890s to now, actually even earlier. We'll even say, yeah, the 1880s till now. There has been effort put into making sure that that does not happen again, to
Right, right,
making sure that that we are fearful to go back there, that we are undereducated to go back there, that we are underfunded to go back there, that we are blindsided by these, administrative acts that don't actually help us,
Okay.
that we are, and you guys, I'm gonna say the hardest thing, because we are from a mixed family. If you're an American, you're from a
Thank
mixed
you.
family, whether you like it or not. So we have all kinds of rainbows of people in our family. So this is not a racial plug, but to say that when you have, there is effort made to make sure that, we will not, um, what's the word, desegregate again, because
Right.
desegregating was our financial win
Right.
every time. And it was our capitalistic boom, our economic boom. It was our socialistic boom. And the rest of the country usually did not thrive in the same way.
Okay, Nature Mom, I got two descendants of people that have came from that lineage that you spoke of, and I want to
Beautiful.
bring to the panel Angel and MD, who are talking about a modern day Mississippi campaign. So I want to bring these brothers in real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, I would love to.
Angel, MD, what's going on, y'all?
Peace.
Hi.
How you doing, sis?
Nice
Good.
to speak to you.
All
Hi
right.
there.
So I will say this. I'm gonna be quick. I don't really have much to offer because you bringing up some powerful points. I will say this in terms of you talking about a gap in between the socialism aspect and the capitalistic aspect. I think the most prominent example that we got to look at is Wilmington, North Carolina. So
Mm.
in 1898, when they had the coup there, it
Hmm.
was all based off of the political process and how we were taking shape and form on how we were creating precedents within that certain state.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about the Democrats and the Republicans at that point. You had the black people that were, of course, at the time of emancipation was staunchly Republican. So it's a misconception that the South wasn't really trying to work with black Americans at all, and that's false. So you had something that was called the Fusionist Party, where
Hmm.
you had black people that were mostly populist, meaning that they wanted to work within the capitalistic system. They just wanted to get fair opportunity in doing so.
Hmm.
And there were white Republicans in the South that were totally 100% with that. So
No,
we were making moves in the political platform in the state of North Carolina to make that happen. What happened was in Wilmington, it wasn't necessarily a race riot. Like you said, it was a coup.
it was
It
a
was a
coup.
democratic coup. Like you said, we had all types of black people in state seats
Yeah. Yeah.
coming out of there, and after that particular situation, they were gone because they didn't want us to have a political footprint in that state.
Yes.
But we were getting there, and in my opinion, I think if we were given a chance to do so, we would have reparations right now because that's what those populists was going towards.
That's
Uh,
exactly where they're going.
right. Another example would be Tulsa. Now we look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, in that Green Root community and think, okay, yeah, these were black people making moves, but they were also fusionists. One way that they were fusionists, you had black Americans that had been emancipated from American chattel slavery, but you also had black Indian freedmen that were in the treaty in 1866 from the Cherokee tribes and the rest of the five civilized tribes.
Hmm.
That's a whole different standpoint and a whole other political movement that was going on in that particular part of the country. So they were working hand in hand. Now these were,
Yeah.
yes, we were all the same people, but politically we were two different sets of people.
It's
One
and
set of people.
it's
Go
true. I
ahead.
would
I'm
like
sorry.
to add. No, I want to add to that. There was also the Black Indians of Louisiana who were part of this discussion as well. So yes, I have to concur. this
Yeah,
information, because we're always kept separate in this conversation, but they were all black people. It's true.
yeah. But politically, they were different because
Hmm.
rights had been done, uh, challenged to them by two different sects. You had the Cherokee tribe that were not given reservational citizenship to those black people. That's the
Hmm.
reason they went to Tulsa to collaborate with the Black American chattel slavery descendants. So politically, we were making moves throughout the country based off of our needs and wants in that particular area. When we
Hmm.
look at these different race riots, we have the mindset to tend to look at them like it was racially motivated, and like black white, yeah, you can have that argument, but it was a political issue.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
problem that we have to rectify and get into our minds what the political assertions were at that particular time. But that's all I had.
Yeah. I'm in complete agreement with you as well. Hi, Angel, are you there? Uh-oh, I think there's a connection issue, guys. I keep losing Angel. Uh-oh.
You on mute, Black son.
Oh, sorry about that.
There
Sorry
we
about
go.
that. I hit
That's
the wrong
okay.
button.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Angel, if you hear us, come back in, man. I want to definitely
Okay.
hear what you got to say. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
MD, did you
I,
hear earlier? She really built a case for reparations. She's talking about, man, all we gotta do is excavate and we find some of that DNA. That's a slam dunk case. I mean, it's a slam dunk case already, but that's just evidence on top of the evidence right there.
Yeah. I've been listening in, and like I said, she's definitely proven the point. Like I'm rocking with that. But like I said, the
Right.
only difference that I would see would be in regards to us moving as a people, but understanding that politically we were different in different parts of the area. Like I said, it as of right now, when you look at how things move in today's age, we can't compare that to like what was going on then. So
Right.
I'll go back to Wilmington. In Wilmington, that we're in the South. You know what I mean? There's
yeah.
certain things going on in the South at that particular time. So we really
Yeah.
didn't have much of a choice to move that, the way we did. But there were white people that was willing to work with us in commerce and trade to
Right.
build the wealth that we had in that city. That's a lot that, people think that we just built the city from the ground up and, it was all black and we made.
No, it's a
No.
collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a collaboration with those white Republicans that were in the South at that time
Hmm.
to, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. It was that type of situation
Right.
where we was able to get prominence in those state seats. Now understand they were district seats because the parts of the state that we were in, we were moving in those districts. But because we had the collaboration of those Republicans, we could make moves politically. That was the
Yes.
reason why you had these white supremacist groups coming in. Like they could care less what we were doing on our own, but
Right.
once we start to show prominence and
Yeah.
affecting the things that were
And,
going on statewide, that's when the
right.
issue began.
And showing up to Washington, which is what was happening in Wilmington at that time.
Correct.
You know, you had the representatives showing up. And I'm with you. A lot of people won't say that those were Democrats who went in and created that coup. But that's exactly who it was.
That's
Um,
exactly what happened.
yeah, and it was if I'm not mistaken, was the governor of Wilmington who was threatened and thrown out of seat by this Democratic Party.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that that's like what can we say? We've had these opportunities, and I think the point that MD brought to the table here is that there wasn't this hardline segregation that was always in our faces the way that we see it today. You're this, you're Dominican, you're that. People were willing to work together and to educate together for a common good. And But what's happening today is that, I think those conversations are really harder to have as a group, because when we're being told, by the Biden Harris administration, that they're going to give advance, equity and opportunities for Black Americans through these bills, and we're going, yay, they're finally thinking about us. And when you go through these bills, these promises, they're actually the same shot in a foot, that the welfare system, same shotgun hole that the welfare system brought to the Black communities, same shotgun hole that affirmative action brought. So many different, and I hate to like say it so boldly, because the civil rights movement is pivotal. It's an important movement. I think that what was lost, though, was the Black businesses that were thriving, because a lot of these communities came back. Those guys, some of them went back to Tulsa after the massacre, after their families were looted, their property was
Yeah.
stolen. Same with Wilmington. They went back and they tried to rebuild. But what was different at that time is, you had these these inclusion movements. Okay, so you don't need to make your own money anymore. You can go to Woolworth and just sit on their banner outside where it says Black only, and you can shop there. And we stopped buying, and creating these businesses that were trying to compete with the stolen goods, the stolen momentum, the looted, stolen properties. They took so much, and
Right.
then they turned around and told us, but you can buy from our stores now. And it really hurt Black economics from that point on. We were
Right.
never able to get off of our knees from that crippling. And, I think, like, there's been so many movements, let's say Nipsey, he went into South Central Los Angeles trying to build a community. He gets assassinated, and then there you go again, another crippling. When I look at this fact sheet, this White House fact sheet, and I'm looking at all of these promises that they're making to create opportunity for Black families. I'm looking at the ARP plan, and the all of these different plans that they want to put into Black communities, these retrofitting from these lead pipes into cleaner piping systems. I don't see one promise here that these contracts are going to go to Black businesses, that these the United States government is promising that not only are we going to clean up the crap that we left in your neighborhoods, but we're going to give these contracts to Black businesses. Get first dibs. You want to help? That's how you can help. Don't raise the Pell Grant money, by $400 a person, and think that you're doing my kids and I any favors, when I can take my kids to Europe and they'll get a free higher education. So, I think that these are the things, when we're looking at the difference between Black capitalism of that time. There were the opportunities to go get their education. They were able to become, scientists, physicists, mathematicians, doctors, lawyers. That's why these communities were able to have all of these prominent people that could so easily grow this beautiful garden. And now they keep us crippled. They keep us let's say diving for the pennies that they drop out of their pockets, but not really giving us any of those reforms that we need to rebuild what was looted. We need to see some real repair from the piracy. Let's call it what it is. These were atrocities. And our children, you gave our wealth over and over again, even the wealth that we built in between the lines. you know, you like put us through slavery. Okay, we overcame slavery. Then you told us let's share crop. Okay, let's share crop. Then you cheated us, so we brought in a lawyer. Then you massacred us, and then you took our collected gold, you took our collected goods, you took our wealth that we built. Even when you were trying to not give us any wealth, you took our properties. And we already know, that's the biggest conversation that everyone keeps repeating right now, is the generational wealth through land ownership. We know, and you won't even do the work to excavate these lands and to connect descendants with their families' pirated goods so that they can get their wealth back. I'd like to just like throw out one victory that has happened recently, and you guys have probably heard about it as well. Black family in Manhattan Beach, their property was
Yeah.
stolen by
Bruce's Beach, correct.
Yes, yes. I mean, that was that over $20 million property value return to a family. Right now, what sits on that property is one of the biggest lifeguard stations. They now have to pay 400,000 a year in property rent to this family whose property was stolen. That's what I'm talking about. That's how we regain. We have to reverse the piracy. We have to deal with the fact that you shot us in the knees, and every time we try to get up on a crutch, you knock our crutch down. We try to get up on our arms, and you chop us at our wrist. And no one wants to call it what it really was. Last thing I'll say about that point, we have all of these museums, that are supposed to be sharing, the finest art of all times. You have pirated, looted goods that you refuse to return to Black nations. That you have stolen those goods. They are not your goods. You are not their guardians, their shepherds, their good good doers. Return those stolen products. Return that wealth back to that nation that you pirated. And I think that that's when we start to have that real conversation. It's a hard conversation to have, you know to look at the person, the people, the nation that violated you and say, you have violated us. I recognize that violation. It's time for you to do something about it, not just talk and throw these little piddly bills at us, that you're going to safely open some schools after COVID. Make our schools safe. Young Black children should not feel like, mom, dad, I don't want to go to school today because I don't want to die. They should not feel that way about their education. So I think that these are some of the things, if we want to regain our capitalistic power, we got to kind of get back to a place where we saw our power. We saw how we can use our power um, in our own communities first. So just like MD said, it was a fusion, but the fusion began because we were able to stand up on our own feet. We were able to embrace and love our own education, and we wanted to thrive. I think we have to start rejecting the welfare, and we have to say, I'm better than your welfare. You know, give me back my position as a human being who's worked for this. And you got to pay for it. Every
Well, I like
criminal
the
has to pay their
rejecting.
reparations.
I like the rejecting the welfare part because hey Angel, how you doing, brother? How you
All
doing,
right.
Angel? Um, so Nature Mom, Angel has a Mississippi campaign where he talked about the agriculture, and agriculture has not been the same since the time of Monsanto and these other bio gene altering frankenfoods that we have. And I think y'all know me. I'm a whole big on this natural foods thing, man, and I think we can really take that back, being that Mississippi has very fertile land. And this is just one of the things, you know. I mean, I know, and Angel, you missed the conversation yesterday. You know, me and MD held it down for yesterday because they were talking, and Yanga and Brother Trevor, shout out to them. But they said they didn't want to do, you know, sharecropping. I understand that, but it don't have to be just sharecropping. It's just like there's many industries that go into making a pizza. The people that grow the tomatoes, the people that farm the cows, the people that, so it's a whole process. But it don't have to be. It could be construction. It could be so many things that require work that you
Exactly.
know. Oh, I mean, let me, Angel. What I mean, you know, I wish you could have been there yesterday, Angel. It just, oh man, it was. I was just like, you know, okay. I'm starting to hear people that don't want to work, but you know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I mean, but I do agree with MD. We do need reparations as a boost. But if these grown people get their reparations, and this is just yesterday's conversation, and I know MD would agree with me, man. If these are grown people, you can't stop these grown people. If you give them their reparations, let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Let them do what they do. But I think there's enough responsible adults that will take that money and revigorate the economy, revigorate. You know, just I mean, I think they will do great things with it. But that's just me. Angel, what's your take on this?
Well, brother Blackson, I first want to give you a shout out. You starting to fill my head up with stuff like I'm fantastic and great or something like that. You messing with my head, I might mess around and become corrupt.
Oh, right, the corruption. Yeah, and that's another thing we got to deal with. You know what? We're gonna deal with that too, Angel. We're gonna deal with that. The corrupt system and all that. You know, for
Yeah.
what Nature Mom was saying, you had a people that were working together. They made it happen. Now there was coup d'états, not necessarily a racial riot, but coup d'états. So you know, oh man, it's. I mean, every system is corrupt, especially if you try to impose a religious system. Man, it's just no. But let me stop ranting, man. You know, it's so many other shows we can do off of just some of the stuff that was said yesterday. But we're gonna get to that, Angel. We definitely
All
gonna get
right.
to that. But yeah, but go ahead.
Shout to you. Shout to our sister, Nature Mom. This is my first time ever met sister. I started to hang in the background, but the sister is pretty and everything. I just had to show up. I had to greet the sister because you know how I feel about the women's. And of course, shout out to our brother MD20. I really don't have a lot to say. I mean, the sister was breaking everything down, and I will admit and confess, I'm not into history like that. I know the basic things. I'm not like MD20. I'm not gonna tell you and break it down. Well, in 1875 they did this and blah blah blah. I'm not that type of person. I know some of the basics of things, and really that's all that's required. But for those who want to be intellectual scholars, they need Nature Mom, they need MD20 because they want to be intellectual scholars and go through all that. While you running your damn mouth, just like Blackson said, what about the work? Are you ready to go to work? Because there ain't nothing gonna get done. Our ancestors put in work. Everything they was doing, like what the sister was described, there was no hand-me-down. Everything our people got, they had to work for it. Even if they had nothing, they had to work for nothing. It was all about work. There was no EBT card. There was no these different programs, all that stuff. And even it was like into the 60s when our people really started taking advantage of some of these social programs or whatever. It wouldn't, these things were even created for. It was created for white women and Caucasian men after the war and stuff like that. But the sister is going more in depth into what our people was doing at that particular time, which is very important. That's the Mississippi campaign, Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign. People keep saying, well, that's Angel's Snub Nub idea and it came from. No, what Angel Snub Nub 7 done was put a name on the activity. That's all I did, and bring it to modern times. That's all I done. So when you make mockery of Mississippi campaign, you're really making mockery of our ancestors, because the Mississippi campaign is based upon what this sister was saying. It was just a natural instinct to survive and moving forward. That's all it was doing. Now, when you listen to the sister, I did not hear her say, well, the Christians were saying this and the other faction was saying that. And when you talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma or Green, whatever, they wouldn't run around talking about their religious beliefs or whatever. It was mostly political. They took their religious beliefs to where it belonged, at church. On Sunday. That's what they did. They took their religious beliefs on Sunday. Monday through Friday, they, like Blackson said, they went to work. All that. They weren't talking about all that kind of good stuff. They went to work. And then they went to church on Sunday or Saturday, however their faith raised. That's what they done. But the sister was describing, and Blackson was asking her about capitalism, socialism. The sister brought to our attention, no, it's not exactly the socialism. No. Our people, we some bad mama jammas. Our people were forming their own way of life, their own way of doing things. They weren't socialists, they was capitalists. What they done, they took a little bit of this, the same way they did in slavery. They took the hog, the pigtails and the chitlins and all. They took that trash and made a beautiful meal out of it. People would pay $15, $20, $30 for a good soul meal in 2022. They would pay thousands of dollars for a quilt that was made of raggedy old throwaway clothes. They willing to pay thousands of dollars for that now. But this is our create. We lost the creativity. See, you talking about socialism and capitalism, that's somebody else's bull doo-doo. I don't want that. I can do my own thing. I can create my own way of life. That's what the Mississippi campaign is about. We're asking the people, not telling nobody nothing. We're asking you, let's do this. Let's change this. Let's make this move. See, that's another thing. People want to tell people what to do. No, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to say, well, if we do this, this is what we get. You don't have to do it. Nobody want to force you to do nothing. Because when you force people to do something, it's not sincere. When you force people to work, they're going to try to get out of work. No, I want to put you to work, because even though we put in cotton, you're building a legacy for yourself and your children. You building not personal generational wealth, national generational wealth, which is more powerful than individual wealth. Because individual wealth, when Blackson do his individual wealth, they don't have nothing to do with me. When he passed, ain't none of that cash, none of that land is coming to me. But see, when you get people on board something that's national generational wealth, whatever that nation does, everybody benefit in some kind of way. Whatever we generate, you get a piece of paper in your hand, you get the title, you get a certificate. The same thing. See, people talk about Angel Snub, talk about, look, Garvey was doing the same kind of thing. Garvey was giving the people stocks and titles. You are part of the shipping business. You part of it. We are in this together. And that way, people, look, there are businesses in China, or Japan rather, the business treat the people so good that they were willing to work for free because the company was taking care of them so well and so good. I do this for free. That's how we have to get to the people, treating the people kind, treating the people good, showing them the benefits. We're doing things our way. It's not about socialism. It's not about capitalism. We're going to take little bits and pieces of things that we got and make it our own, like Michael Jackson did. Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. But Michael Jackson, if you look at him, he's a little bit of Fred Astaire. He's a little bit of Elvis Presley. He's a little bit of Jackie Wilson. He's a little bit of all that thing, but he's still his own unique person, Michael Jackson. And we know Michael Jackson for who he is. And I'll say this real quick, and I'll let this go. The sister was talking about the reparations and dealing with these people, asking the people, well, look what you've done, and help repair us, and blah blah blah. We're dealing with criminals. You're dealing with criminals. You're not going to get any. A criminal has no integrity or mercy. Any criminal does not pay for the repair of their victim. Not that I know of, unless they forced by a court. I've never heard of a criminal that did something to somebody. I hurt you real bad. Let me go out here and make some money and try to repair. I've never heard that from a criminal in his right state of mind, because most criminals don't. They don't offer. They did what they did, and they paying the price by being in jail or the death penalty. They don't offer you nothing. So we know, after all this time, we're dealing with people. They're not interested in giving us no reparations, doing nothing for us. So Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign is a slick way, because if you could take control of a state, the politics of a state, you control the budget. So you control that money. That's our reparations. That's how we're going to get our reparations, because now, whether they like it or not, because we got a hold of the money, whether they like it or not, that's how you get your reparations. And reparations means to repair. It's not for you to go out and buy luxury cars, or it's to repair the harm that comes for people. So though that money, that is coming to repair the people. And we got to get out of materialism. I want to buy a car and the houses and all like that. What do you need all that for? We only have a lifespan of maybe 60, 70 years. You dead. What you need all this material stuff for? You can't take none of it with you. We caught up into this materialistic world. Do you know who's most valuable to me than a diamond or gold or anything? Nature mom. Because when I go to the hospital, my car is not going to come to the hospital. My car, my house is not going to come to the hospital to come see me. I know, because I was in the hospital. My car never made one visit. I never got not one phone call from my HUD, and I put a lot of money into that damn thing. So OMC is about the people, all about your happiness. You shouldn't have to work 40 hours a week. That's how families get broken up, because mama got to work, daddy got to. You should be able to live decently and still have time with your children, your grandparents before they leave this world, and time with your dog Scruffy, because he don't have a long time lifespan either. So you can enjoy yourself. We want to set up something so you can enjoy life. Working 40 hours a day, that ain't enjoying life for somebody else. That's not even working for yourself hard like that. That's not working. That's not enjoying your life. I'm not here to work yourself to death. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your children. Enjoy your dog Scruffy. That's what it's about, creating. And the Bible says, or talks about it too, a new heaven and a new earth. And the former things will pass away. So all these things that we hold on to, we want to grab on to, all that got to go in order to bring in something new. I'm passing the mic on. Passing it. Come on, Blackson. Moderate.
So I want to. Well, what I want to say real quick is, okay, I apologize to everybody because I called it black capitalism, but Nature Mom did something. Basically, what you're saying, Nature Mom, we didn't have a name for it.
Yes.
No.
Didn't have a name
No.
for it.
I mean, even when you look at the world of science today, in the world of psychology, sociology, in so many areas, um, sciences were designed to work against us in the past. And it's only now that we're being included. I don't know if you guys, why would you? But I visit the ADA, oh gosh, the association, sorry, APA, the Association of Psychological, I got the American Psychological Association. Sorry, it's getting late. And plastered on their main page is an apology to Black Americans for their participation in systemic racism. So I think it's really interesting that these scientific communities are making these efforts to make an apology to us. What's very interesting is I think that Angel hit on it perfectly. Where apologies need to lie is with our pirateers. Our pirateers are not going to apologize. They're going to keep
Mhm.
throwing welfare at us. They're going to keep telling us, they're going to fix, waterways, and they're going to, put more money into our neighborhoods to, beautify our neighborhoods for us. We don't need that. When our neighborhoods are thriving, we will beautify them ourselves.
Mhm.
When our economic system is repaired, because that's what needs to be repaired. What was taken during these massacres at times when our capitalism and our socialism were thriving separate to their capitalistic and socialistic system, what was taken from us were our tools to preserve and to grow ourselves. And that's where we are today. In order for us to regain our financial health, in order for us to gain our social health, we need our tools back,
Mhm.
and we need to stop being crippled, and we need to I'm with Angel. We need to stop crippling ourselves. Hyper consumerism is a mental health disorder. It
Mm.
is self-crippling. We don't need so much. Actually, we do better without.
Exactly.
And spending our money, Gucci thanks you all. He's very rich. um, so now we need to start putting that money into our own communities. We need to be, I miss Fubu. I
Yeah.
liked Fubu. That was my brand. I love my clothes from Fubu. Unfortunately, when they finally wore out, I mean, I tell you, I had some Fubu that lasted me over 25 years.
Mm.
And when it was time for me to go back, I had to look in thrift stores. Unfortunately, all over Europe and places that I've traveled, they don't have thrift stores like they do in US. So I miss my FUBU. I want to see these companies put back in. There's so many genres of music, so many genres of fashion that is appropriated from our culture all over the world. Why aren't we the producers? Some of my very favorite, yes, capitalists, gurus out there that I learn about financial health from. The thing that my favorite, um, I'll give a quick shout out to Jasprit Singh, because I really like him, and he is a man of intelligence, and he also always calls people out to do their own research, their own due diligence. But the first thing that he always says, as he's teaching, is that we need to stop being the consumers, and we need to start being the producers.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I think that that's where we have to really reset our minds. Just like Angel said, there's a great reset that needs to happen psychologically, financially, and it is a part of our whole health system that we've lost. When we're looking for these little handouts, I'm very dissatisfied as I'm reading this White House ledger, and I'm going through it line by line and watching them throw peanuts at us like we're you know animals in a cage still. um I don't need your peanuts.
No.
Get out of my way, give me my education, and when I go for it, don't keep adding these insurmountable costs to this education when your family, their grandchildren, you've already eaten off of the labor and the wealth that I and my descendants have brought to this country. I just like the people of the Great Migration, people of all of these communities, these massacred communities. Like MD said, no, they weren't race riots, and let's stop covering that up. They were massacres.
Mhm.
Just like Hitler is always claimed as a king of massacre. Um, so many massacres throughout time. This was also a massacre. Everyone's always talking about the Holocaust. We have lived our Holocaust repeatedly in the Americas, and it's time that, just don't stand in our way. Let us thrive. And once again, back to what Angel said, we need to stop standing in our own way. We need to look for our personal health. We need to, before we spend $5, before you spend $5, you have to ask yourself, who is going to benefit from that $5 that you spend?
Exactly.
And you need to rethink it. If it's not you and your family and your community, rethink where that $5 is going. And
I agree.
so what else can we say beyond that?
Also, I'll add, we also have to start valuing our position in the market that we currently live in.
Yes.
Yes.
Going back to Wilmington, one of their top production and assets there in Wilmington was Taylor. The Taylors were the major market in the industry in Wilmington. White
Yes.
people from all over the state were coming to Wilmington to get sharp. Back
Yes.
then in the early in the late 20th century, early 21st, you know, we stayed with suits and hey, it
Mhm.
didn't matter if we were just going outside to go get the mail.
Yes.
We stayed
Yeah.
sharp.
Mhm.
White people from all over the state were coming to Wilmington to get tailored with
Mhm.
suits.
It's true.
And that was our major market. So we have to understand our position in the market. That's where we really lost socioeconomic. We don't have a market anymore. What benefits the rest of the nation? Once we get back into that mindset, we could be awesome. That's where the Mississippi campaign comes into play. And again, like it's a couple of things that me and Talik may disagree on as
Mhm.
far as what we do once we set the operation in place. But the ultimate thing is it's going to give black people the market to create the wealth. Mississippi, number one, agriculture. We
Mhm.
have to get a mindset of, okay, we can have this market set now. It's locked down for us. Now, in my opinion, it'll be up to that individual person to want to commit to said movement. But either way, the nation will still benefit from the actions. You know what I mean? So, market in terms of capitalism, market is the thing that we have to focus on. We have to set a foundation in a market in order to produce that wealth. Now, I still believe in reparations. Again,
Mhm.
like I said, me and Talik disagree on a couple of things in that aspect, but that's going to be the precedent in order for us to build that wealth in said market.
Also, when it comes to reparations, I was talking earlier about just the fact that we control the budget of a state is reparation. But also, once you come into power, because taking control of the state, we've actually taken power. And so now, when you come to the federal government, all these reparation movements and organizations is wonderful and is good. But if you have a state that goes to the federal government and say, "Look, yo, hey, what's up? We need to, reparations here." That coming from a state is more powerful than our
would agree.
individual separate.
Yeah, I agree with that. I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. It'll be the state's obligation anyway. You know what I mean? So I agree with that. Shout out to NAASD out in California.
All
They
right.
showing you that right now
Mm-hmm.
with the reparations task force out there in California. So yeah, it'll ultimately be the state's obligation. The federal government will have to be the one to recognize it. So
Mm-hmm.
we in agreement on that.
Yeah. So uh, I also want to say, and I don't want to be negative because the conversation is very, very going very well, but it's a reality. Like I had brought up before, our ancestors wasn't tripping on much. Go to work, go to church. Now, if you notice, things start becoming different when we start becoming pro-black, and the Pan-African thing. Because all the things and all the successes that we're talking about was not pro-Black, was not pro-African. And our ancestors never put that to the forefront. But things started changing for us when we began to get introduced to pro-Blackness and Pan-Africanism. Matter of fact, we began to focus on Africa more than ourselves. We want to build up Africa, and Africa this, Africa that. We suffering here. I don't mind, and I have empathy for any suffering person on the planet. How can I help Blackson? How can I give Blackson $20 and I don't have $20? We have
That's a good
nothing to
point.
offer Africa. There's nothing. That's why they don't really pay no attention to us. They pay attention to the United States of America and China because they got something to give.
Right.
We have nothing to give them. They're not interested in you like that. They don't care about your religion of Black power, because that's what they really, the struggle, they've turned the struggle into a religion.
That's
Because I
right.
know when I was growing up, I didn't hear all this stuff. And when
Right.
I was growing up, I was still in the midst of the original Black power when I was growing up. This new modern day version. And when I was growing up, people wasn't throwing their personal morality and things into
Right.
Black power movement. You didn't hear that. You heard
Well,
nothing.
we talked about agendas, Angel. People got
Uh-huh.
their own agendas.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
that's, but I'm glad you see that's the problem. The Black power African, this mindset, they have an agenda. I want to make you a Muslim. I want to make you an Arab. I want to make you some kind of super Christian Hebrew Israelite. They have these agendas, and they use the struggle, as Minister Farrakhan would say, they use the struggle to hide their dirty religion. They're not really interested in us and our people in this struggle. They have another agenda. They want to turn us into an African. See, I don't understand this. We've been in America for 400 years. We never lived in Africa. We don't know nothing about that stuff. It would take generations and upon generations for us to even begin to have any interest in no Africa. And then Africa is 52 nations, all kinds of customs, all kinds of people, whatever. The people said, which one I'm going to be? Pick one and go for it. You can't be all Africa. You can't be all of it. There are many, many different Africans, all kinds of spiritual systems.
Yeah.
For me, Sister Nature Mom, I'd rather do my own thing. I like James Brown, get up and do my own thing. I will borrow a little bit from an African nation, their custom. You know, you can borrow from almost anywhere and make it your own. But I'm not that. I'm happy in my own skin. I'm not going to degrade or look down upon my ancestors. Like everything that you said, sister, in your talk. I'm not going to just push that to the side like that ain't nothing. Then you're going to talk about Egypt and Timbuktu. I didn't live in no Egypt. I didn't live in no Timbuktu. I'm going to grasp the struggle from those in Wilmington, Carolina, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's my people. And that's why I stand. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I don't apologize. I stand with the so-called African American. I stand with soul brothers and sisters. And I prefer to call us soul brothers and sisters. Now, I could come up with something else or whatever. But soul brothers and sisters, I was raised on that. That was an identity. That was a label. For as I know, it came from us. That's why I gravitate toward soul brothers and sisters. And when I was growing up, nobody had a problem with it. You had Soul Train. And I'm very sure all kinds of Christians and Muslims, whoever was going down the Soul Train line, even to this day, they still doing it. Ain't nobody had no problem with that. See, soul is the actual is the identity, but Hebrew and whatever you want to call it comes up under that umbrella. That's all it is. Soul is more than just food and dancing and music. No, it's our culture. It's the struggle that you just talked about. It's us. I don't mind being who I am, me. If I'm some kind of African, cool. That's whatever, but that's not who I am. I'm not going to try to become something I'm not because I look crazy putting on a costume. In order to be an African, Well, first of all, we will never be Africans. Our children can, but the process, okay, if I want to be African, I have to take my children to the continent, adopt a tribe, and then as the generations from them begin then they become African. You can't just sit around here and talk about, oh, I'm African. As far as the international law is concerned, you ain't no African.
Tell Yanga that.
I guess he's never been out of country because you're not gonna put that on your passport. On your passport, those African nations, it's international law. They're gonna view you as an American, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the reality
And
of it.
let's be honest, the more I travel,
Mhm.
many of my African friends look at my blue passport and say,
Mhm.
I wish I had that. And I think that that's the power we don't realize that we
Exactly.
have in the palm of our hands. When I leave United States, I'm not just a black woman from South Central LA. I am I people are like, "Oh, you're American." I never have anyone go, "Oh, you're a black African American." They never say that. They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you're American, and I can understand you. I
Mhm.
can't understand British people, but I understand you."
Mhm.
And I think that like we really don't see the power that we have been endowed from the country we're from, from the lineage, our legacy.
Yes.
It- we don't really realize how powerful that is. And when you look globally, look at what is K-pop. K-pop are a bunch of, Korean kids trying to sing black songs. What's his name? Oh gosh, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake.
Mhm.
White boys trying to sing black style, R&B style.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm glad. I'm influenced by my culture as well. I think that the thing that we don't see is the power of that influence, how it has permeated the whole world. People, they want their hair like ours, they want their dress like ours, they want to sing like us.
Mhm.
They want to imitate the power that we have. And the only people that I see struggling with that power, that identity, it comes from within our own community. Makes sense from a psychological point of view, because with any trauma, with any suppression, when you're being oppressed and you're being oppressed, it's really hard to be resilient and to hold on to your self-love and your identity. I did this 2-month long research campaign just on black hair in America, and the amount of money. I mean, right now we spend over $94.8 billion on hair products,
Mm.
and these are only black Americans. This is
Mhm.
the money that comes from our community. And just imagine, we are 96% of that industry's revenue.
Mm.
And yet we've allowed the cosmetic industry, the L'Oreals, the Clariol, the Revlons, we've allowed them to come into our communities. They saw the diamonds that we were, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we have so much financial potential here," and they jumped on it. And they've been doing that ever since. It has
Mhm.
been, just like with these massacres, just like MD said, Wilmington of 1898, all the communities before that, all the communities after that, where they have gone into our communities, they've gone into our lifestyle, our hair, our way of speaking,
Mhm.
and they have taken it for their own financial gain, for their own fashion gain. I saw these two fashion designers, and it was like this competition, and they were eliminated on the challenge of urban streetwear. And of course, in my opinion, I thought their outfit was the best. And
Mhm.
at the end, their walkaway speech was, everywhere we go in this fashion world, and actually, the woman who with the main designer, she designed for FUBU. And she said, everywhere we go, you know, um, people take our style from our neighborhoods.
Mm,
We took what was left over and we made it into fashion gold. And
exactly.
when we present it to the world, then it's streetwear. When you present it to the world, then it's avant-garde.
Mm,
And we really need to see that for ourselves. We need to see our value, our financial value. Okay, yeah, we have been thrown for a curve. I'll just throw a couple of tidbits of information that you guys probably don't know. I meet Black women, African diaspora, all from all over the world, and the thing that they always ask me is, what are you doing with your hair? Like, da da da. And I always share with them this little piece of gold, and I said, do you realize that Black women in the United States actually had hair, and men had hair that was going down their backs? They were wearing these intricate styles from the inception of slavery all the way up until the 19th century. Somehow in the 19th century, that all disappeared. Our hair got shorter, our ability to take care of ourselves diminished, and
mm,
we've been struggling to get back on par ever since. Why is that? So we've really lost something in our time, in our history, just like Black Sun was trying to like really pinpoint these very poignant bridges. How do we get from slavery to these communities that are thriving? How do we make these bridges happen? And we also need to understand how the bridges went the other direction as well. We
mm,
need to know so that we can repair our own psychological, mental, financial health. I always repeat this as a mantra because this is our whole spectrum of health that we've got to get back to. We have to be where we love ourselves, not against a Eurocentric standard. We love ourselves for our own beautiful brown standard,
mhm,
that is, in my opinion, the most beautiful.
mm,
My husband would say it too.
mhm,
you know, we need to really remember that we're not at the end of someone else's financial give me stick. We have repeatedly in history have rebounded and we've created our own. My very favorite joke about I can't remember what this the can't remember right now, sorry guys, tired. But this Black slave is coming up to a stop sign, and the white master says to him, why are you stopping here? And the black slave thinks to himself, oh my gosh, I can't tell him that I'm stopping because I'm at a stop sign, because then he'll know I've been teaching myself how to read.
yeah,
So he says, I'm stopping at this octagon looking thing. And the
mm,
the slave master says, how do you know that's an octagon? you know so I mean, these are the things that, all joking aside, we have to realize, like, that's where our brilliance has been, always will be. The moment they put, Black men and women on those slave boats, they wanted to break down our power, because one, they knew we were not, slaves, you guys. We were prisoners of war, and they knew that the power of the places that our ancestors came from, they were very proud people, they were very prominent people. And the first thing they did was they shaved the women of their beauty, because our hair meant so many things. It meant our health status, it meant our fertility, it meant our social status, where we were coming from. They wanted to strip us from everything they could that would allow us to feel a sense of pride. And the thing that we keep somehow, coping and regenerating within ourselves is that sense of pride, and we keep building on that pride. When slavery was, let's say, announced that it was being abolished, first thing we did, we ran off, we educated ourselves, we grew our own, we did our own. So I think that that's just the thing we really have to look at as we move forward. and we're reaching out to, like Angel said, we're not looking at Africa and we're not worshiping the motherland. We're worshiping the mother within
Mhm.
ourselves. We're worshiping where we are right now, and we are worshiping the fact that we are intelligent, creative, innovative, resilient human
Mhm.
beings. And we've shown a strength that not a lot of people have shown on this planet repeatedly after
Exactly.
repeatedly. So it's time that we dust ourselves off once again. We look at these bills, we read through them line by line, we write Biden the letters, and we say to him, look, you know what, I don't need you to fix some pipes in my neighborhood and upheaval the streets that I have to commute back and forth to work as I'm building my wealth and I'm teaching my children to build their wealth. I don't need you destroying my streets, and giving those contracts to somebody else. I need those contracts in my neighborhood. I need them to go to, my constituents. We need our schools. We don't want you doling out the dollars for us. I want that money in our hands. We are going to allocate where those funds need to be grown. I mean, let's be honest. We need to be growing the food that our kids in the school systems are eating, not letting them, have these exacerbated budgets, feeding them, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that are 90% sugar to our children. And then when our kids are off the chain and can't learn, then they want to give them antidepressants and label them, ADD, ADHD, and,
Mhm.
Exactly.
oppositional disorder. And, no, we need them to have a decent, nutrition. We need their cells to develop properly. And your nutrition programs are not working for our cellular development. So let us have our money back. We will take care of that ourselves. We'll grow our own gardens. We will go into coalition with Mississippi campaign. We will put small gardens in our own schools.
That's right.
You know, we will do these things because we are capable, and we don't need you to babysit us, because you have babysat us and you abused us, and we reject your abuse.
Exactly.
So I think that's it for tonight.
Where you at, Black Son?
I'm right here, y'all. Right here, right here. I check on my tire, man. Oh. Hey, so hey, we gonna wrap it up, y'all. Hey,
Yeah.
we got to do another show because I got a lot of topics from what MD, Nature Mom, and Angel was saying, and it could veer off into a whole nother conversation. Because MD, you got to come back because Nature Mom building up a case for that reparations. So we gotta touch on that too.
Oh yeah,
That
most
that's
definitely, most definitely.
yeah. That's something that we gotta discuss.
Yeah. We can do that. And like I said, it all ties back into Operation Exodus, Mississippi,
Mhm.
and
Right,
we can
right.
discuss that further.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And Angel, I don't know if you watched the show yesterday, but I want you to go over that because a lot of pushback. But like Nature Mom, but I'm glad we had a show with Nature Mom today because I didn't know what to call it. I just know that we live here in America, like MD said. We're Americans, and I want to say, I think we were kind of repeating something that we saw, and we just became good at it. And we
Mhm.
came up with the Tulsas, we came up with the Rosewoods and all that. And so whatever that is, and I definitely know it wasn't socialism because it wasn't, you know, I don't know whatever it was. Um, I mean, yeah, I think Operation Exodus Mississippi is in the inheritance of that. So
Yes.
it could be done again. I just wanted to prove that Exodus Mississippi, like you said, Angel, has been done.
Yes.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, we can go through all the prominent black cities. It's been done.
It's been done.
So I don't understand this pushback against it. I don't get it. But I did say
You
it was going to
said
be pushed.
work.
Huh? Work
Work.
right,
Some people don't want to work.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's all it
right,
And
is.
right.
And yeah, we have to understand again. I keep going back to the same word. You know, it. Yes, we worked, but we had a market.
Right.
That
Yes.
was the gap between emancipation
Commerce.
and the wealth.
Exactly.
We had a market, despite
Yes.
if you didn't like us or not. We had a market.
Hmm.
That's the thing that people don't understand. When you talk about capitalism, yes, we mimicked what we saw, but we weren't stupid either. We understood in order to build wealth in our own community, we have to have a market in order to produce the goods for said community. You know what I mean? So that's the gap. So again, we can do another show on that, and
Mhm.
then
Okay.
we could go into things, and because I think that's the thing that Young and them didn't understand. Like
Right. Right.
they think that everything can be done within the community, everything can circulate, and we can produce stuff for our own. But like I said, it's
Yeah, but
me
MD,
giving you a
that
dollar and circling around. We have to put something out to bring the money in through the pipeline.
right, but MD, what we're talking about here today, I mean, what Yango was saying to me, and that's why I was getting pushed back, was he was, socialism is the government taxing you as a working man, making you participate in communalism. It has to be organic. If it's forced, it's gonna be pushback. So
But
I'm not down with no government forcing me to, I mean, socialism as we know it, it's the working people being taxed to take care of people who are not working. That's the way I look at it, brother. But we could.
If
and
I could
yeah, and
add to that,
go
if I
ahead.
may. So I just realized what you guys are talking about because I'm sorry I missed the show. But one thing that I would like to add some economic facts here is that governments had a very limited participation in our economic system until they destroyed the gold standard. Before the gold standard was destroyed, they did not tax us in the same way that they do now. So they weren't involved in, let's say, welfare systems because
Right.
being on the gold standard, it forced everyone to balance out. So you were able to create that commerce within your community, without this inflation system and this debt system that basically this fiat, fake money system that creates these very huge inflationary waves of economic imbalance. So we didn't have this struggle before the gold standard was destroyed. So I think that if I understand what you're saying now, MD is absolutely correct. When we somehow operate in a financial system where we're the producers, and let's say we are only consuming what we need to produce more and to survive, and
Mhm.
and we can live in that healthy balance of I've got what I need, and okay, maybe a little extras here and there, but I don't have to live this psychological backlash that's happening now where people are, they're making enough from paycheck to paycheck, and then they're like going out and spending what they make to make themselves feel better because their life is not what they want it to be. And that's the bottom line. They're trying to reward themselves in a way that has been brainwashed into their system, to make them believe that they're getting something out of the work that they're doing. And I think that, like, when we go back to these communities, like Angel said, they absolutely had nothing when they started off. So they built from nothing. They
Mhm.
lived off of what they needed, and the rest was commerce. The rest was production that brought back
Right,
in something into the community. And when we
right,
start to like function there, then every shoe shiner has a purpose.
right,
Every, movie theater, ticket puller, it's their community too. So they feel a sense of pride. This is their movie theater, you
right.
Exactly.
know,
Because
and
the economics have been brought into that community.
yes. So, when you're spending your money, I haven't been to the movies in a while, so I don't even know how much. But when you're spending your money on going to a movie theater, and you know that that movie theater is, a community member, and they're going to spend their money back on other things within your community, you're proud to work at that movie theater. It's your movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what we're missing and kind of back to what Angel was saying. um Hi, Yanga. Back to what Angel was saying. About let's not try to reach our arm all the way to Africa. Let's try to reach our arm right to our own communities and build them where we are. Let's get the pride going, being rebuilt within ourselves and within our communities. And then when we are in a position to be, feel, like generous, charity, then we can be charity. But
Yeah.
right now we need to build ourselves, because we still have a lot of wounds that need to be addressed and healed. And then we have to, like MD saying, find our own commerce so that we are the producers, not the consumers.
Right, right. All right, y'all. Well, shoot. Man, this was a great show. Um, Angel, when is your next live?
I'm going live at 2:30 Central.
Oh, well,
Central
shoot.
time.
We need to wrap it up so we can go to your show.
Yeah. And I would hope that the sister too would, if she have time, come by, stop by, say a few words. And it's a general discussion. It's random topics.
Okay. So you'll get the link to me. I probably have some more time. My family only misses me a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I can
I
sit
sent
in
the
for a
link
second.
to maybe Blackson can share the link. I sent the link to Blackson, so
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure he can share
All
that with
right.
you.
Well,
But I
thank you
enjoyed,
guys.
I enjoyed everything that you said, sister. You bring the technical part to what I'm talking about. You bring just like what Blackson said earlier. How did we get from here to here?
Yeah.
We missing a part, so we need
Yeah.
to fill that gap in so we can have a better understanding,
Yeah.
and so that we can see. I mean, how I mean, we're just some fantastical folks. We are we underrate ourselves. When I was
Absolutely.
growing up, let me tell you something. When I was growing up, all kinds of people wanted an afro. They wanted to be the Jackson 5. They wanted to look just like the sister said. I mean, our talk. Look, I've never heard so many crybaby men in my life. Brothers developed their own natural swag, how they carry themselves, their suits and their dress, and how they did things. And the sisters like, woo, dynamite. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to get back into the love of ourselves, and then we can
Yes.
carry that on. Because how can you love somebody else if you have not loved yourself?
Exactly.
And that's
Peace,
all.
peace to Yang.
Peace.
Yeah, why you gonna come on the show the last minute?
There's no sound.
Now you gonna have to come to Angel show because Angel about to
You
start
Listen,
his
you
show
muted.
early.
You
absolutely.
muted, Yang.
Can you
Okay,
guys
there
hear
you
me?
go. Yeah, I hear you.
Listen, because I'm making my way back to the A, so I couldn't really enjoy the show. I said, son got slick. You want to have a high power panel on a great discussion when I'm traveling. I'm gonna get you, buddy. Hey man, you guys, I'm gonna go back and watch the show. I'm sure it's a great show. The arena's doing its thing. Snub Nub, glad to have you on again. MD, good to see you again. Nature Mom is great to see you guys. I'm gonna go back and enjoy the show. But y'all rock out, man. Continue
All
the
right.
show, son. We'll talk a little later, buddy. See you
Okay,
guys,
all
man.
right.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
Boy,
Yeah.
peace.
And
Okay, y'all.
Deacon,
Oh,
twin.
okay, y'all. Well, we're gonna head over to Angel show. Angel show is about to start shortly, so let's get over there. Reality Temple on Earth, and we can continue this conversation. I'm gonna send the link to Nature Mom, and yeah, let's get ready because shoot, man, I want to enjoy. I want to thank y'all for coming out,
You welcome.
and yeah, after party at Reality Temple on Earth. Let's do it. Shoot,
All right.
All right,
2:30.
man. Peace.
Peace.
2:30. All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.
Central time.
All right. Yeah, in a few minutes. Right, in a few minutes.
No, about an hour and a half.
Oh, an hour. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I keep forgetting, Angel. You're not in. Oh man. Okay, so 1 hour.
Oh,
We're gonna go to Angel's show.
Yes, an hour and a half, 2:30.
I'm
oh
sorry, Angel.
man.
I'm still trying to put everybody on my time.
Well,
I'm sorry.
there's a lot of time zones here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A
A
lot of
lot of
time zones.
time
Yeah.
zone. What's your
Yeah.
time zone, sister?
I am. Oh, I'm not really sure where you are, but I'm 7 hours ahead of Black
Oh,
Sun.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm almost into tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right. All right.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
nice to
Okay.
meet you, sister. Hope to
No,
talk
you
with you
too.
again.
Me too.
Yeah. We out at 5,000, Black Son.
Bye,
All right.
Inga.
See you in a little. All right. Bye, y'all. Peace.